So some of you might actually be really confused to see this video because you're like, girl, a couple weeks ago on Twitter, weren't you just asking us if we wanted this and we told you big fat no? Bestie, you're so right. I know. I am honestly kind of surprised I'm sitting here making this video too, especially because there are so many other videos about this show. Like mine is not gonna be much different. I don't think I'm gonna offer anything up that no one hasn't already said. But here's the thing. I like to talk. I like trash TV. Not this trash TV though, okay? Trash TV unlocks like my third eye. I don't know, it unlocks like the happiness gene that I just wasn't born with, but this show unlocked my gag reflex. Anyway, what I was trying to say was I really did not have any intention of doing a video on the show, let alone watching it. But I realized I would be so hypocritical because I'm the first person to be like, you need to watch something, listen to it to form your own opinion. Like, don't just go off of what other people are saying. Even if I was gonna have the worst time ever, I was gonna sit down, take the bullet, and watch this show. We're gonna have a good old time. Basically how this video is gonna be, it's a little different than, no, it's a lot different than what I usually do. Usually we sit here and watch the actual show, do a reaction, have a little kiki, but again, I'm not trying to fight for my life with copyright, especially for this show. That doesn't sound like the vibe, but I still want to talk about it because goddamn, is there a lot to talk about. So we're gonna break down episode by episode, just go through it all. For the people who haven't seen it, you're gonna get a general feel, an idea of what actually goes on in the show from your internet mom herself. And for the people who have watched it, who want me to talk about it, well, here you go, babe. I hope you're excited because I need to go burn my eyeballs. Anyway, the structure of this video is going to be very much like Kenny JD. It's very heavily inspired by Kenny because honestly, I cannot count on anyone but Kenny when it comes to shitty reality TV shows on Netflix to just sit there and talk about it and feel validated in who I love and hate. I'm pretty sure Kenny's been tweeting that she's making a video too on this show, so definitely go check out her channel if you haven't. That is Internet Rich Auntie. Right there. And in fashion and in like Kenny JD, we are also going to transition to our sponsor real quick. So Ashley, who probably doesn't have eyebrows on right now, take it away. I want to say a huge shout out to Native for sponsoring this video. If you follow my channel, then you know Native and I are literally besties. We have been working together for so many years, and that's because I believe in their products so much. It's so bad, you guys. Like the body wash, the shampoo, the conditioner, and of course, what I want to talk about today, the deodorant. I've talked to you guys about it in the past. I really want to be better about the products I'm using. I'm leaning towards more clean products, and that's what I really love about this. It's paraben free, aluminum free, and it smells so good because what are we never on this channel, you guys? Dusty, crusty, and of course, musty. I got a couple different scents because I really do like to kind of, you know, switch it up a little bit. So got the, of course, the eucalyptus and mint, the cucumber and mint, which is my all-time favorite. But honestly, her crown might be tipping a little bit because the powder and cotton I've been recently trying. Oh my God. It literally smells like baby powder and it just makes me feel fresh and new. You know, like the world hasn't torn me down yet. But no, it's great to have an affordable and accessible way to cleaner products that last and will protect you from smelling bad with 72-hour protection. But if maybe that's something that you want to try as well, or just go on your little smell adventure and just honestly be protected during the summer, because girl, it is hot outside. Use my link and my code MOMASH6 to get 20% off your first purchase at Native. This offer is available site-wide, but only for a limited time. So stock up and save now. Thank you again to Native for sponsoring this video, and without further ado, let's get back into it. Oh my God, hey, welcome back. How you doing? Did you skip through the ad? Be honest. Actually, don't be honest because I already know the answer. You did. It's fine. Whatever. I just won't pay rent this month. It's okay. Not me manipulating. Oh my God, maybe I watched too much of this show. Before we actually break down episode by episode, I do want to touch a little bit on the controversy just real quick because I feel like it really will get you in the mindset of like, damn, what am I about to sit down and watch, or what am I about to sit down and listen to? Obviously, if you've been on the internet, you know what has been going on, so I don't want to take too long on it, but something that I did find out that I did not even realize it's been this long, right? I was doing like a little timeline of this whole show before it came out, like the production, the rumors, the whole shebang. This show got announced back in 2021. Yeah. You heard that right. 2021. Now, I know pre-production, production, post, like all of that, it's a thing. It's a long... Oh my God, I just got possessed. Sam, leave me alone. I know the process to make a good show is a really long process, but damn. 2021? Oh my God, that feels like 10 years ago. But yeah, around the summer of 2021, it was announced that The Weeknd was heading to the small screen. He was going to be a part of this show. I think it had a title at that point called The Idol. I have my notes over here, by the way, so if you see me looking, that's what I'm doing. The show was set to be co-created alongside Reza Fahim, I think that's how you say the name, I'm so sorry, and alongside our favorite Euphoria creator, Sam Levinson. Yes, a lot of people think that Sam was like not on the project originally. That's not true. Sam has always been a part of the project. The amount of input he has been able to put in, that's different. But this whole show was going to be under the direction of Amy. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. I'm not even going to attempt, but Amy. I've heard a lot of great things about Amy. I'm not very familiar with her work, but I was very excited. The whole premise of the show sounded really interesting. It was described as like an exploration of fame. We were going to follow a female pop star who has had ups and downs in her career, but ultimately gets trapped in the toxicity of the industry. Now, if you're familiar with any of my content across my couple channels, yes, couple channels because I hate myself, it's whatever, we don't need to talk about it. That is so up my alley. I talk about music, I talk about albums. On my other channel, we talk about movies, the industry here. And then, let me move the cobwebs off. Oh my God. Needless to say, I was very excited for this show. And I will say this real quick too, just to preface, I am a pretty big fan of The Weeknd's music. Don't get me wrong. Do we have some lyrics where I'm like, I kind of knew also like him being a part of the show. I was like, there's probably gonna be a couple things that are like with me personally, but overall, if it's a good story and actually shows something, you know, behind the scenes of the industry, I'm down, whatever. We'll figure it out when we get there. So we fast forward all the way to November of 2021 and production has finally started on the show, filming taking place primarily in Los Angeles. Lily Rose Depp is signed on to be the main character of the show. I know Troye Sivan was announced, which was super exciting. Again, just a lot of people who have ties into the music industry were going to be a part of the show, and I thought that was so unique and so cool. HBO also announced that it was going to be a 6-episode season, so nothing too crazy, but if it's like anything that we've seen before with the shows, they were going to be pretty lengthy episodes. So then we fast forward all the way to roughly April of 2022, and it is announced that Amy is no longer a part of the project. Now, this is a little weird, but it's not necessarily unheard of, someone leaving a project. But what is unheard of is after you have completed roughly around 80% of your show, that is a multi-million-dollar project, you are scrapping the majority of it to rewrite the entire show. Interesting. Kind of scary, kind of weird. And not only that, it was also announced that Sam Levinson was announced to become the director of the show. Also really interesting. It wouldn't be till later that it was speculated, allegedly. You're gonna hear me say allegedly so much because girl is not trying to get sued. Like, I'm a new cat mom, I can't go to jail. But allegedly, The Weeknd was not happy with the direction that the show was going in, which I think is kind of funny because it's like you saw the script, you were in so many meetings, like a lot happens before you start shooting. Why did you not open your mouth up until it was way too late? But allegedly he was not happy with the direction that the show is going in, saying that it focused too much in a female perspective, which again, if you need a reminder, your main character is female in a toxic industry who is getting taken advantage. Right? Like, okay, sure. Yeah, we'll go with it. Whatever. Pretty much that entire summer of 2022 was when the reshoots happened. The entire creative overhaul was full effect, full swing, with even some of it being, spoiler alert, with even some of it being filmed at a weekend show. Dun, dun, dun. So now we are in March of 2023. We're finally into this year again. That is so crazy that this has been going on since 2021, but I digress. March of 2023 was when Rolling Stone revealed that the production was nothing short of a shit show, basically. To summarize the article, basically, no one knew what was going on. People on set were just lost, overworked. Scripts were being changed basically on the daily. And this reshoot was getting more and more expensive as the days went on, to the point where they actually started shooting the show in the Weeknd's house. All the footage that we see of Jocelyn, who's the main character, of her house, every time they're in it, which is the majority of the show, was shot in his house. Which, like, cool, we're cutting corners, but like, why was the show still super expensive? So from this article I pulled, it says, Amy's approach to the story was about a woman falling prey to the exploitation of the industry, then fighting to reclaim her agency. Levinson, meanwhile, was a degrading love story, more like sexual torture porn, and increasingly disturbing sexual content and nudity. It was like any rape fantasy that any toxic man would have in the show, and then the woman comes back for more because it makes her music better, a production member said of Levinson's visions. I remember reading that, and, you know, you take it with a grain of salt. You think, oh, it's like kind of an overstatement of what the show's actually about. When I tell you that line right there can sum it all up, I'm not kidding. Especially because allegedly, again, there were scenes that were talked about that weren't ultimately shot, which included a moment in which Lily Rose Depp's character has her face bashed in, only to smile and ask to be beaten more. There's also a scene where Lily Rose Depp character is instructed to carry an egg in her coochie, and if it dropped or cracked, would refuse to rape her, which would send her spiraling as she begged to be assaulted, believing it's the key to her success, which I honestly believe that was a shot or a scene that was discussed based on what the episodes looked like. But with this very damaging article, it immediately trended on Twitter. People are talking about it, being like, maybe we shouldn't watch this. So The Weeknd, being the brilliant PR person that he is, I don't know how this got approved. I think it's still up on Twitter. If I was his team, I would be scrambling. I would be ready to quit and be like, I cannot work with this man. Because his response to all of these allegations was to tweet a clip from the show at Rolling Stones and said, I quote, "Did we upset you?" And in the clip, I don't know how much of it I can show, it basically is calling Rolling Stone irrelevant. You know, in this like new age of social media, they need Jocelyn more than Jocelyn needs them for promotion.
Rolling Stone has 6 million followers on Instagram. Jocelyn has 78 million followers. Tags them, they get her followers, more money for Rolling Stone, nothing for Jocelyn.
HBO then put out a statement saying that The Idol had been safe, collaborative, and mutually respectful. The creators and producers of The Idol have been working hard to create one of HBO's most exciting and provocative original programs. That should have told me right there. Anytime someone is like trying to be provocative or sexy or like edgy, it's cringy and it's not good. The initial approach on the show and production of the early episodes unfortunately did not meet HBO standards, so we chose to make a change. It's the best interest of both the production and the cast and crew. We look forward to sharing The Idol with audiences soon. So then we go on into May of this year as well. I know, for someone who was like, I'm gonna make this a really brief history section, it's hard to summarize all the bullshit that happened before it even aired. But in May, they went to the Cannes Film Festival to premiere the first 2 episodes of the show, which honestly, I can't remember the last time a TV show premiered at the festival. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember hearing that and being like, that's a really interesting move, and it could work in their favor depending on what the episodes were about. Beforehand, Sam, Lily, and Abel went on like a little press panel. They're answering questions. They were talking about the article where even The Weeknd was trying to be like really respectful and said he loved working with Amy. You know, like what else are they gonna say? They're not gonna go up there and be like, yeah, everything that they said is true, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. But I think the biggest quote that you can take away from that panel is from Sam himself, where he turned around and said,
when my wife read me the article, I looked at her and I just said, I think we're about to have the biggest show of the summer.
God, I would love to be a fly on the wall right now and see what he thinks of the viewership going down, down, down. Anyway, the cast and crew of The Idol and a lot of critics go into the showing of the first 2 episodes. We shortly get news that there is a 5-minute standing ovation at the festival, which to some people is like, oh, 5-minute ovation? That means it's good. No, at this festival, like they might as well have been throwing tomatoes at the screen. And what's even worse is that the critics weren't even out of their seat yet before they were posting their reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Some of my favorite quotes are, in trying so hard to be transgressive, the show ultimately becomes regressive, but noted that there were glimmers of potential when it stops trying so hard to be shocking. 50 Shades of Tesfaye, a Pornhub homepage odyssey starring Lily Rose Depp's areolas and The Weeknd's greasy rat tail. These people were not happy. I want to say it got all the way down to like 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, which honestly makes sense. Like I knew it could go down that low, but I don't think I've ever seen something go down that low. But with all that being said, that brings us finally to the premiere of The Idol. We start off with episode 1 with Jocelyn, who is Lily Rose Depp's character. She is doing a photo shoot and she is going through a range of emotions. She's showing like happy, she's laughing, she's crying. I want to say that this was trying to foreshadow the plot twist at the end of the show, but I don't think anyone on the set has enough brain cells to do that or be capable of that. I will say, as someone who is not super familiar with Lily Rose Depp's acting, like I was excited. I was like, okay, maybe she's gonna give me something. I don't know, but I'm seated. I'm ready. But more importantly, we have our first cigarette of the show. First cigarette and counting, might I add. There's honestly some really cool shots here, and I'll give Sam credit where credit is due. That man has never made something that doesn't look good. Right? Like, I'll tell y'all when something's bad, but I will definitely tell you when something is good. And there are so many shots throughout, honestly, all the episodes where if you pause it and take a screenshot, it's going viral on Tumblr. Now, that kind of sounds like a drag, but I don't mean it as a drag. Like, it is a very pretty show when it's not trying so hard to be edgy. We then go back to the photo shoot where we are starting to get introduced to her team. Now, this is where I kind of got a little glimpse of what the show dialogue wise is going to look like, and I was already like cringing. I was like, oh god, okay, because I think what it was, you know, Jocelyn's our favorite pop star, she's our favorite pop girly, and we want the best for her, but look at her evil team, they're vultures. The things that they say are awful, and I know that's like the majority of the dialogue for these characters. They are shocking, or they are presented in a way where you're not gonna like them. I get that that's the point, but there's so many different ways to do that than to just make them say just absolute bullshit things. This whole scene, for example, we are introduced to Xander, who is played by Troye Sivan. Hi, Troy. I'm wishing better for you. Who is Jocelyn's creative director, who is talking to Nikki, who I'm assuming is like, I don't want to say like a manager. She works at the label. She's a pretty big deal. But this whole scene, I'm gonna try to show it to you because I don't think words do it justice.
Romanticizing mental illness?
Absolutely.
And you're fine with that, that's cool.
You people are so out of touch.
Oh, here we go.
Another cigarette. Another cigarette.
Mental illness is sexy.
No, it's not.
And honestly, there's a lot more to this dialogue, but basically it's just trying to give us a feel of Nikki's perspective of Jocelyn and trying to make her like the relatable girl, which then sells. Basically, like she's hot. You want to f her. You want to be best friends with her. Buy her music. Because I quote, legit, this is a quote Nikki said. She is not going to f you unless she has a mental problem. See, I want to say she's not like most girls, but yep. Because you see some hot girls out here and you're like, why are you with him? Must be the mental illness. So then we dive deeper into the photo shoot where Jocelyn has her nips out because why not? By the way, this photo shoot is not even just like a regular good old time photo shoot. It's for the album cover. And I'm not opposed to like a nip out on an album cover. I own Halsey's last album, which has her entire boob out. It's great though. It's art. I love it. But again, it just comes off as like trying too hard. But there is a point of me bringing this up because it leads us into this gem of a scene. Honest, my God. Photo shoot is stopped by an intimacy coordinator on set who is there to uphold the nudity rider, which if anyone's not familiar with that, basically that's legally a contract that says what the talent is comfortable showing or not showing. It's just there to protect basically every single person involved, which is great and needed, especially in a time post Harvey Weinstein. Like, I don't know a single intimacy coordinator, but I will fight for their life. But basically her writer stated that side boob and under boob was basically as far as that they would go. So the writer wasn't being upheld. So this intimacy coordinator, doing the very best that he could, God bless his soul, tries to explain it to her team and then to her. And her response is, I quote, "It's my body." Which, like, yes, feminist queen, I guess, it's your body, show it if you want. But like, don't be a dick. Legally speaking, if you want to show it, then figure that out. Kind of like I was saying earlier with The Weeknd. Open your damn mouth. I think it's supposed to be like, look, see, we're for the women. We're empowering. It's like, no, you're annoying because this poor guy is just trying to do his job. He explains, though, that if she wanted to do it, it would take at least 48 hours to get the legal papers, etc. done. She then quotes, "So I'm not allowed to show my body. It's also my boob and my house," like that the photo shoot is happening in, which, like, again, is not this big feminist take that they think they're doing. I think ultimately what they're trying to do is show that, like, Jocelyn doesn't have control over her image or, like, her career, but it's just really interesting when you remember that Sam is in charge right now of this show, who has had issues in the past when it comes to his female stars and their nudity. Like, what are you trying to say here, Sam? That was the whole vibe I was getting, was like, this is a passive aggressive thing from Sam himself trying to tell people, like, off, basically. Like, I'm cool because I show boobs. It's like, yeah, it's HBO. Like, we're gonna see a boob, we're gonna see a dick. I know what I signed up for, but, like, this just doesn't feel necessary at all. And this is like the first whole 15 minutes of this episode. It just was not necessary. Like, we could have cut this out. Meanwhile, though, other members of her team are in for a whirlwind because Haim, Destiny, and I keep want to call her Layla, but it's Leah. They come together to discuss a photo that has been leaked of Jocelyn.
She was on her fucking knees.
Yeah.
She wasn't standing.
Well, and she was on the ground.
Why would she do it to herself? What?
He probably was fine as shit. Had a big ass.
Listen, I can't remember if Rachel was always supposed to be a part of the show or if this was like a Sam thing. If it was a Sam thing, then he did one thing right, because I will follow Rachel to my grave, to her grave, actually. Like, she really, for me, is the star of the show. And this scene, just the way she approaches this character in the dialogue, perfection. Perfection. Oh, and by the way, after this whole thing happens, they lock the intimacy coordinator in the bathroom because he was being annoying and they wanted to shut him up and get this thing done. Again, I'm not saying anything, but for Sam to include this, it's looking interesting. So Nikki, you remember her, right? Queen of mental health advocacy, is clued into the leaked picture and she is not happy.
Yeah. Easy, 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 easy.
Does she know about this?
No, she does not know about it. Okay?
Who did this?
Which I will say is kind of funny, because wasn't she just saying, like, ooh, we need her to be sexy. We need Jocelyn to be fuckable. What's more fuckable than a girl with cum on her face? Right? See, now this is where I kind of think they got actually something right, because I think we can all agree that sex sells. But when you really think about it, it's a controlled image of sex, especially when it comes to a female artist. But I do think that this scene and Nikki's reaction to the photo was really well done, because I do feel like that is what it would look like behind the scenes of this kind of a situation. I will say, though, of the picture, because we do see it later on in the video or in the episode, I thought it would be worse. Like, it looks like she's just got a little ice cream on her face. Like, girl, just wipe it off and keep going. She's having a good time. She looks good. I'm like, okay. I never say his name right, but we also get Dan Levy. I really don't know how to say his last name, but we get him in this scene. I'm assuming he's a PR guy and he's really trying to do his best with this damn script. He's trying to get everything under control, make it seem like it's not as bad, and get it taken care of as soon as possible before Jocelyn finds out. Now, I would like to mention, though, he is only in this scene and in this episode throughout the whole entire series. So that little tweet that I talked about earlier where it was like, with Rolling Stone, did we upset you? That never made the final cut. In fact, there's a lot of, like, coming up next week, like, previews for the next episodes where they were showing scenes, and those scenes were nowhere to be found. Like, they were really just throwing shit at a wall and just hoping it stuck. Anyway, we meet someone else named Talia, who is a writer for Vanity Fair and is doing a piece on Jocelyn. Honestly, I'm not gonna go too in-depth in this because we really don't see a payoff for this character until later on in the series, but just know that she's there. We find out through her team talking about Jocelyn's backstory and that she has recently had a really tough time.
Her mother died of cancer, and Jocelyn was there, the morphine and the thing, and holding her mother's hand, the last breath.
And, you know, with the grief and everything, it's hit her really hard. They ended up canceling her last tour because They were fine about it. Some were saying that she had a psychotic break. Some people were just saying she needed a break. Both are probably very valid. But tickets are back on sale for the new tour, and it sounds like, honestly, they're not moving. Like, you know how people fight over Ticketmaster, and it's like the Great War, basically trying to get a ticket? Girl, it's crickets. It's a Sunday stroll through the park. They also introduced a single that they're gonna drop in 2 weeks. Remember that, because I'm going to talk about it in 2 weeks, called World Class Sinner, which hopefully will move the ticket sales. Oh, and another cigarette. So now we're moving into the dance rehearsals for the said comeback, and we finally meet Jenny's character Diane, who is a backup dancer for Jocelyn. Just from this little bit of a scene, it seems like they have a pretty good relationship. They respect each other, they seem like they're girls, and she tells her, we're going out tonight. But during rehearsal, Jocelyn, oh, poor girl, poor baby girl, she looks like a giraffe who is just finding her legs. She is completely lost, has no idea what the next step is, and just cannot keep a count. She cannot keep a beat. Like, the beat was beating her ass, you know? The choreographer tells her to take 5 and watch Diane do it, and this is where I was intrigued. Like, come on, side plot. Get me interested. Get me invested. Is this someone that I need to watch out for? Do I got to keep an eye out for Selena, you know? But there is no hiding that this character is a star. Like, she has the X factor. She has it, and that could be a problem for Jocelyn. Oh, also another cigarette, because why not? Jocelyn starts crying, and I'm sitting there like, girl, get up. Get up. This is your career. Get up and go dance. Shake your ass. Maybe show a nip. I don't know. That seems to be the thing. And get a hold of your career. But honestly, she has really good energy. So, like, maybe I shouldn't make fun of her. But she goes and talks to Di. And, Di, we're close. We're friends. And she's really encouraging to Jocelyn. Jocelyn goes back into rehearsal, and she kills it.
I'm just a freak, yeah. You know I want it bad.
And at this point, you know what? I'm kind of rooting for her. But in the name of actually resolving a plot point, which is probably one of the only ones that gets resolved, her team figures out and puts out a statement based on or for the photo, for the leaked photo. They put out a statement saying that it is basically revenge porn, which it is. Even though some of her team doesn't believe it.
But it's true.
Well, if we say it is.
I'm in a Twilight Zone episode.
All right, people.
Again, I think they're just trying to paint out the worst people, but it's like, you can make someone terrible and you can make them to the point where I don't want to root them, but let me at least enjoy watching. Like, I hate Nate Jacobs, but I'm still sad. But at this point, they finally show Jocelyn the photo. They tell her about it, and she takes it really well.
This is everywhere?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it could be a lot worse.
And honestly, I agree. It could have been worse because the way, again, they were describing the photo and they were saying that Twitter was calling her the human cum sock. I thought it was going to be worse, but it was kind of a slay. Like, is it a cunty selfie or is it a got milk ad? I don't know. But anyway, for someone who handled it really well, you can tell that she's mortified on the inside, which, like, rightfully so. That's embarrassing. That wasn't something that she ever wanted anyone else to see. And she has the right to that privacy. And if anyone comes in these comments and is like, well, then she shouldn't have taken the photo. It's too early for me to get this mad. We're not even going to discuss it. She then goes into a sauna where we see Diane again. She lights yet another cigarette. Girl, how do you have a singing career? And she asks a simple question that leads basically to the demise of this show.
What was the name of that club?
We're then introduced into one of the first, like, many very great montages of the show. And honestly, the thing about this montage in particular, it showed me who I actually care about in this show. And it's these 4 characters and these 4 characters only. And it makes me wonder, what did the original script look like? Like, was there more so of, like, that friendship level between the characters? Like, everything that I see of the show and experience, it just makes me want to see the original even more. There's really not much of this show that I'm like, oh yeah, they changed it for the better. Also, we get a cute little cameo from Alexa, who plays Maddie in Euphoria, which in theory is really fun, but I'm scared. Listen. I can't help but feel like Sam is trying to build the SCU, the Sam Cinematic Universe. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, maybe let's finish the plot lines in our shows before we try to make them cross over. You know? Anyway, Joss and Di are dancing and they get spotted by Tedros, who is played by The Weeknd, who we find out is the club owner. Honestly, if I heard him saying these things, I would have left the club.
We're here to dance. We're here to fall in love. We're here to fuck.
Like, how am I supposed to take you seriously, especially with that hair? Oh, honey, no. But anyway, Tedros spots Joss and asks her for a dance, and they kind of hit it off, I guess. I don't really have a problem with this scene, except for the fact that they did a Madonna song. Leave this legendary song out of it. What did Like a Prayer do to you? No, I say that, but like, the song choice is honestly so on the nose with the lyrics. It's kind of funny. And that's honestly how it goes for a lot of the music in the show. Whatever is being portrayed on the scene, you also hear it within the lyrics in the song. And it just reminds me of Netflix. Like, anytime, if you know, you know. If you've watched a Netflix show and they play music, especially like The Love is Blind or The Ultimatum, whatever they're singing is happening on screen. And it's so funny because it's so bad. Oh, also, another cigarette. In other news, Leah meets this guy and actually has some well-deserved fun because at this point, I know this girl is stressed and she needs a minute. You know, if she wants to get a little wet down there, good for her. She's honestly the only sane character so far that we've met in this show. Jocelyn and Tedros have this conversation, which basically delves into Joss's relationship with her own music. She's honestly not super happy with the sound or the lyrical content of her music that she's, you know, getting ready to release. She basically is saying that she wants to make music that doesn't feel superficial. It's honestly a really short conversation, but it does give an insight into why Jocelyn is even giving Tedros a chance. Also, another cigarette. Oh. Jocelyn and Leah then are talking about the single, and Jocelyn is honestly looking for Leah to be honest about the sound. You can tell that Jocelyn is just so not feeling this song, but she wants somebody to validate her feelings and her emotions about it. And Leah is just not doing it for her. She's sitting there being like, no, it's a great song. It's so fun. It's so blah, 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 blah. Don't worry about it. Just put it out. You do this to yourself every single time. Don't overthink it. Which then leads us to this gem of a scene. And I think you guys already know what I am talking about because it was in the article and goddamn, it came true and I wish it didn't.
I think I'm gonna invite Tedros over. He's so rapey. Yeah, I kind of like that about him. Joss.
We are going to pretend we didn't hear that.
Now, I don't know what movie they are showing in the background of this entire scene, but I am no stranger to the SCU. I know Sam's tactics, and this is how he did a case of foreshadowing in Euphoria Season 1. In Season 1, they showed the movie Fear as an indication of what was going to happen to Maddie and Nate. And now they have this movie.
What happens?
She kills him.
Girl, I hope so. Tedros comes over then and is incredibly creepy, to say the least. Which, listen, I know that's the point. He's supposed to be creepy, but like, it was just such a bad vibe. Like, there's creepy, and then there's like, oh my God, I need a restraining order ASAP.
Thank you for that.
God, I love her. Rachel did not get paid enough to carry the idol on her back, okay? Oh, another cigarette and then another one. Okay. Jocelyn and Tedros then talk more about her career and her music, and boom, my suspicion is correct. Jocelyn really wants someone to validate her feelings and to be on the same page as her and feel like someone's not lying to her, and unfortunately, he's the one that's gonna do it.
All right, this is the song I was telling you about. It's still super rough. It's not like mixed or anything.
Okay, this scene pisses me off personally. I'm not saying I work in the music industry. I know everything that's happening, but it's not done yet. It's still super rough. It's not even mixed yet. And yet it's coming out in 2 weeks. And yet you have a whole choreographed routine to it, to a finished version of the song that we heard earlier in the episode. And I would assume your team is spending millions and millions of dollars to promote this song that again comes out in 2 weeks. What 12-year-old who has a fantasy of what the music industry is like wrote this script? Because usually this shit is planned out for months and months ahead. But I digress. Whatever. Oh, also, another cigarette. Hey, kind of missing her. It's been, a good 2 minutes since she last lit one. So we hear more of World Class Sinner, and honestly, I kind of see why she hates it. Don't get me wrong, the chorus is catchy. I do sometimes find myself just singing it while I'm, roaming around doing dishes, whatever. But the title, World Class Sinner, with these lyrics, It seems kind of tame. But honestly, this scene right here.
Well, I like it. Just one minor note. If you're gonna sing a song called I'm a Freak, you should at least sing it like you know how to fuck.
I mean, he kind of ate her up with that one. I'm not even gonna lie. But Tedros decides he's gonna show her how to sing like she knows how to and that's by taking part of her robe, blindfolding her, and covering her mouth and nose. Okay, now if this was me, I would be shaking, crying, throwing up, calling the police, 911, please help me, this man with a rat tail is trying to kill me. But I get it, she's in her freaky era, so like, whatever. She's moving different than I would. And yes, that is how the first episode ends.
Open your mouth. Now you can sing.
Sorry, you're canceled.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, watching this first episode, I was like, okay, it was pretty slow paced, not much happened, but like they established some sort of a world, we have our characters, and it doesn't seem as bad as the critics were making it out to be. Maybe this is something I really needed to watch on my own and make my own opinion about. However, they saw 2 episodes at the festival. I have only seen 1. We actually need to continue this shit show to figure it out. The episode starts with Nikki coming over and meeting up with the rest of Jocelyn's team. Jocelyn has called them over because she wants to play them the new version of World Class Sinner. Ha 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 ha. Which honestly, again, considering we already heard it done, I'm so excited to hear the actual completed version. Let's go.
Baby, it's hard at me, but I do what I want.
Oh, honey, this is why you have people work for you.
It's not me. The single drops next Friday. We've already done our spends on radio, on digital, on streaming.
That's what I'm saying, Nikki. Thank you. Thank you. Hold on.
And we spent $1 million on the goddamn fucking giant strip club for the video that you and Sarah Lawrence here are shooting this week.
Y'all haven't even shot the video yet for a song that is coming out in 2 weeks. Again, I don't work for the industry. I just kind of think I know how it works or like what's best for releases based on the things I have seen throughout my YouTube career. But honestly, like tap someone on the shoulder who is in the industry and knows how these timelines work. Because apparently no one in that writer's room did. Anyway, whatever. Jocelyn goes on and says, you know what, girl? I don't need you and your stinky ass Bob. I'm gonna release this song on my own. And honestly, Nikki reads her to filth, as she should.
And then we spend millions sending you around the world, putting you with producers to give you an EP of giant fucking big-titted hits. And now you're going to sit here and tell me that it's not me. Well, that's too bad. It's too fucking late. That train has left the station. And whether you like it or not, you are going for that ride.
Is it bad that, like, I don't disagree with her entirely? Listen, the delivery, terrible. Some of the things she has said, awful. But she's not entirely wrong. Because I don't know. I just feel like that's coming off so self-centered because, yeah, it is your career. It is your music. But you have a whole team that also depends on your moves to feed their kids. Again, I know they're trying to paint her team in, like, such a bad light, but they be making points sometimes. Sometimes. So Haim goes off and talks to Jocelyn about all of this, and honestly, you can really see the bond that they have in particular. And this episode for me personally was when I really saw Haim and Destiny as like the parental figures for her, and I really got like a soft spot for them. I was like, oh shit, yeah, they're part of her team and like they know what to do, but they do at the end of the day kind of care for her. Like maybe they are the only people on her team that deserve rights. Even though Haim did lock that man in a closet. Damn, I forgot about that. We move on and we get a scene of Jocelyn working on the song with the moaning and breathing while, you guessed it, lighting another cigarette. Because apparently smoking is a personality trait. I didn't know that, but now I do. She then takes a cold glass and pleasures herself. Is that the most appropriate wording? I don't know. YouTube, your policies are getting weirder and weirder by the day. She gets interrupted by a phone call from Rat King himself, and they make plans to see each other later on. We then see Leia and her man on the phone who looks like he has a connection to Tedros. Very interesting. Okay, I'll bite. Speaking of biting, which is something that you have to do to eat, because this scene ate. This is definitely the best scene, or one of the best scenes I would say in the entire season, but particularly this episode. And that is us going into our music video shoot day. You know, because the song's still not done. But it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think like by the label's standard, the song's done, but Jocelyn is like, no, it's not. I can still finish it. But like, whatever. Whatever. So the 3 characters of our core 4 walk up onto the video shoot, and we find out that Jocelyn was actually 3.5 hours late because she was getting, I don't know, should I like trigger warning? I'm gonna just trigger warning now because the rest of the show is like, but we find out that Jocelyn actually has cuts all up and down her thighs. Now, they don't really make it clear what it was. We don't know if they're like self-injuries or if it's like maybe from the glass. I don't really know, but oh shit. They take the first take and Jocelyn is not impressed at all with how it turns out.
The whole beginning part needs to be tighter. I feel like these lights are like really intense and they're like muddying up the skin tones. I'm sorry, it's just like a first take. I know it'll be better next time.
No. We really see how hard she is on herself in this scene, to the point where she wants to shoot it again and again and again. She is so in her head at one point that she literally forgets to lip sync while shooting a music video, which is, I think, one of the core parts of making a music video. We then see Diane talking to Jocelyn to make sure she is okay, and Nikki peeks up, wondering who she is.
Why? She's out dancing everybody. Does she sing?
Meanwhile, Destiny and Chaim are looking into Tedros' past, and shocker! Who saw this coming? It's shady as hell. There is virtually no information available about this guy, but it gives us this scene, which is honestly, it made me laugh so hard.
But what does he look like?
He's a person of color.
Yeah. Are you saying he's black? You can say black. You're allowed to say black.
Yes.
Okay, he's a black guy.
Yeah.
My politically correct queen. You have never done anything wrong, don't worry. We also find out, though, you know, a little tea sprinkled in here, that Xander, played by Troye Sivan, if you forgot who he was, had a singing career as well before this. He was on a show, apparently, for around 3 episodes. We don't really find out much more after that, but he's honestly not really happy. He's basically, at this point, there to support Jocelyn and be there for her. He honestly seems to really care about her, which makes him a really interesting character for me personally. We'll talk more about that within the later episodes, but just kind of remember that, okay? Cool.
And you gotta give it your all, because I'm telling you right now, if you don't, these people are gonna fuck up your career. But if you do, your fans are gonna say, Jocelyn is my motherfucking idol.
Dude, I love her so much. Oh, I know I said Rachel was like carrying the show on her back, but come on, Destiny. Meanwhile, Nikki, the slimy, two-faced snake that she is talking to Diane and is basically about to sign her on the fucking spot. She hears her sing.
Oh, my hair, touch me anywhere, ball and chain.
Okay, yeah, no, you're incredible.
Not Jenny's best, but like, we'll ignore. But she pulls her to the side so she can leave the set and start recording her own version of World Class Sinner. Drama. Now listen, if this was like the whole plot and it was like an established relationship between Jocelyn and Di, and then having them like grow apart because of this, I would have been so down. Especially, I don't even know where this clip came from, but I saw it on Twitter and I was like, oh shit, where was this scene? Again, as every episode passes and every plot line happens, it just makes me want to know what the original was all about. I would pay so much money to see that original script. Truly, I would. I'm that invested. So finally, Jocelyn gets on stage and girl, ooh, she kills it. Hits every mark. Looks super into it. Gives the best performance she can, only to find out that the camera's malfunctioned. Oh.
It's a good take, right?
I'm sorry, Joss. It was out of focus.
Honestly, if I was Jocelyn, like, I would have the biggest breakdown right here. Like, I would storm off and go home. Like, I mentally cannot do it anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could. Jocelyn sits down on the stage and shows that she is not only emotionally beaten down, but physically too. Her feet are bleeding, her costume is like going into her ribs, and the cuts on her thighs are starting to create a rash just from all of the movement. Now, I was getting really into this part, and I felt like this was one of the scenes that we actually saw the correlation to the title. Especially if you know anything about like the whole K-pop world, and they're literally called idols, but the idols train for hours and hours and hours on end and wear the most uncomfortable costumes, and it's like they're treated, not saying and not trying to really push that negative stereotype of K-pop, but there is a darkness to it. You know, these people go through a lot because it is their career, it is their passion. So it was really the first time in this show I felt like I really saw that translate, only for it to get ruined by the rat tail. And when I say ruined, like, it just completely took me out of the scene. Why was this here? No one asked. To see Tedros and his clowns dry humping the air in his nasty STD infested club. Like, I get it, you're showing that clip and you're trying to relate to what he's saying to Jocelyn, but like, I don't care about you guys. But anyway, we then get into the most heartbreaking scene of the episode, and honestly, kind of the show.
Mom? Mom?
Are you calling for your mom?
No. My mom died last year.
I'm not even gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. The shoot day comes to an end though. Jocelyn is begging to shoot again tomorrow while Nikki tells her, you know, okay, yeah, totally, we'll do that. Which we all know is a lie. That's not happening. Because the second Jocelyn is out of that building, Nikki calls her assistant to get Diane out and onto the stage. Oh, this woman is vicious, but I love it. I feel like what they did with Nikki is what they should have done with Tedros. Like, they made her kind of right, but kind of wrong. Tedros is just wrong. Wrong. So Jocelyn gets on the phone with Tedros and we found out he's not alone.
Do you want to come over? Yeah, it's fine.
Honestly, this whole scene shows that Tedros is gross, Diane's not to be trusted, and I support women's rights and their wrongs. So anyway, Jocelyn is getting ready for her date, and honestly, I'm really surprised that it doesn't include a cigarette because that's all she's done throughout this entire show. Oh, just kidding. Tedros brings his whole crew to the house, which is honestly rude because I don't think she invited them. Like, unless that's just something I was supposed to be okay with, I'm not. Who invited you? And take your damn shoes off before you enter the house. But you know what we don't love? You know what we don't support? The most awkward and cringy sex scene you have ever seen in your entire life. Yes, I'm closing my eyes and bracing for impact because, oh my God, why was this included? I could cry. I honestly could cry. It honestly felt like I was watching a Wattpad fan fiction come into life, or just like watching a scene and listening to dialogue written by someone who has never had sex before, but like, you know, pretends that they know what it's all about.
I want to grab you by the ass while I suffocate you with my cock.
I want to die.
Make that throat wet for me, yeah. Fucking stretch that tiny little pussy.
How can anyone take this seriously? If I was intimate with someone and they started saying that to me, bitch, I would be gone. Call me Usain Bolt because my ass is leaving. I would be laughing so hard like I am right now that I would start crying. There's an actual tear coming out because there's nothing worse than all of that with that facial expression and whatever that sound was that came out of his mouth. Okay, listen, we're having fun, right? We're talking about this. I just want to say I am not opposed to sex scenes per se. I don't really have any strong feelings about them personally. I'm pretty neutral. But this just felt so unnecessary. I don't know if the point was to show like this power dynamic between the two of them. I think that's what it was. But there's a way to show that dynamic without it being in a sexual setting. But I'm just saying, if this scene was removed from this episode, I don't feel like it would change anything with the plot or the dynamic between the two characters, especially because we can infer, you know, the ending of the last episode was with them getting intimate. You know, that kind of relationship has already been established. Show us something different. Show us something new. I feel like if you were to remove the sex scene from this episode, the only thing that would be impacted is the length of the episode. And honestly, maybe that's a good thing. Oh, but also Leia got laid. Hey, that's my girl. Hey, that's my girl. Hey. Oh, also, another cigarette. Have I missed some? Probably. But you know what? The fact we're at this number so far, shocking. Can you believe we're only 2 episodes in? Like, so much has happened, but also nothing has happened so far. That's how I feel. Like, I'm sitting here explaining it to you guys and I'm exhausted. Like, I'm done. Do we care? Do we still want to keep going? Oh yeah, because we have a lot to discuss. Episode 3. Let's get into it.
Actually, we're going to end the video right there just because this video is getting super long and I can totally split this into 2 parts. So if you guys want to see the next part, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And the video should drop. It should be Monday when you're watching this. The video should drop on Friday. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I know it was a little bit different, but I love you a lot and I'll see you in the next part. Mwah! Bye.